explain like what the sort of second order effects are of having an administration that both is incompetent but also is dishonest?
So, look, there was a long rule in American politics that when an American politician said something true, even if it were often cherry picked and misleading.
Yeah.
My better half used to be on President Obama's Council of Economic Advisors, and before the State of the Nation, they would go through and there would be a check mark from the different departments around the White House. And so when people have asked me the question that you asked me, 5 years ago, I would say any statistic coming out of a major statistical agency, the Census Bureau, the Bureau of Economic Analysis, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Department of Agriculture, is true, and facts coming out of the White House or cabinet secretaries' mouths are true, although maybe literally true, although maybe not the whole truth. That was what I said 5 years ago. What's important to understand where we are now, it is still true. I want to take the heat down a little. It is still the case that data coming out of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Bureau of Economic Analysis, the Census Bureau, the Department of Agriculture is true.
Right.
That may not be true for HHS, where Senator Kennedy is telling us that if we did more jumping jacks, we wouldn't get COVID. It's true on its face.
Yeah.
They still tell the truth and they still have that culture of truth telling. What we don't have is any sense that anything the president or any cabinet secretary says anytime, there shouldn't even be a default now to believe them. The president walks around saying things like, there is $17 trillion investment that I have personally raised. This is
Right.
literally a number made up out of whole cloth.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
genuinely just and then some days he wakes up in a bad mood, and to make himself feel better, he adds an extra trillion to it. This is not a question of political this or political that. This is bullshit,
Right.
nonsense, horseshit, untrue. Treasury Secretary Percent, I think, would prefer to tell the truth, but has to tell untruths to remain
Right.
inside the circle.
Right.
And as a result, he now tells enormous and extraordinary untruths. The example I talked about a moment ago, where a nerdy economist, me, points out to the Council of Economic Advisors they literally got their sums wrong, and they're not going to respond to that because there's a culture of masculinity and macho and never admitting you're wrong and weakness and blah, 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 then means even the folks who are meant to be truth oriented within the White House have given up on the truth. That is really worrying. You asked for how it's worrying for the outside world. Let me just pause on something even simpler. If you spend enough time lying to the person next to you and they spend time lying to you back, you start to believe what you speak. And so if you believe that the American economy is close to perfect and they're on the cusp of an investment boom, you're going to make policy choices that are absolutely bananas.